What's going on, football fans? John from Odyssey Sports coming back at you with another NFL video. And today, guys, I just want to create a quick video for you, giving my thoughts and my analysis on the games that happened over Saturday and Sunday. We had another great weekend of postseason football, and finally, we have the matches set up for the AFC and the NFC championship games. Of course, on the AFC side of things, we have the Bills facing off against the Chiefs. And then over on the NFC side of things, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going all the way up to Green Bay to face off against the Packers. And that's where I want to begin the video is talking about the Packers and the Rams game. The Packers throttled the Rams throughout this entire game, 32-18. They had possession of the clock or of the ball, excuse me, throughout the entire game. And what else can I say except Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback I've ever watched on television. Don't get me wrong, I think Tom Brady's the GOAT. He has 6 rings, 9 Super Bowl appearances. Nobody's ever going to top that. Patrick Mahomes has a slight chance, but I doubt he'll be able to do it. But Aaron Rodgers, he's a great arm talent. He's so smart. He really knows how to spread out the ball, and he knows how to do a lot with a little. In the past, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had great teams around him, and he only has one Super Bowl to show for it, unfortunately. Those teams had good defenses and serviceable weapons, but finally, Aaron Rodgers has a really good defense and pretty good weapons around him. In this game, he threw for a casual 300 yards. Yes, casual for Aaron Rodgers. Threw for 2 touchdowns, two of those being to Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard. And Devontae Adams is another guy I want to talk about in this game. Everybody was hyping up the Jalen Ramsey and the Devontae Adams matchup like it was a welterweight fight or a pay-per-view fight. And for the most part, I think Devontae Adams won this matchup. He had 9 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. And of course, that touchdown being off the motion where he ran into the corner of the end zone and Aaron Rodgers put it in his hands like a baby in a cradle. And Jalen Ramsey was pissed off because of that. Another guy on the Rams defense that was pissed off was Aaron Donald, and that's because he only played 54% of the snaps in this game compared to the 85% that he played in the regular season. Aaron Donald was mad throughout this entire game, and rightfully so. Uh, the Green Bay offensive line was giving him a tough day. He couldn't get through that. He couldn't get through the line of scrimmage. He couldn't create pressure. Couldn't get to Aaron Rodgers, and that's the key to winning the game. Aaron Donald, of course, is nursing that rib cartilage injury, and I'm sure it's hell to play through. No doubt that he was not 100%. The Rams tried to do as much as they could. They just didn't want him to re-injure that rib injury, of course. Um, and the Packers, I mean, their running game, the Rams just they couldn't stop it. They had damn near 300 rushing yards on the ground. Of course, Aaron Jones, he had a great game. He's playing for a contract. I don't think the Packers are going to bring him back because he's going to be demanding a lot of money. But Aaron Jones, 14 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Of course, that huge 60-yard run at the beginning of the second half that really set the tempo for the Packers for the rest of the game. Um, Another guy, Jamal Williams, he had 5.4 yards per carry, and he might be the guy going forward. Who knows? Another guy, AJ Dillon, a respectable 4.5 yards on the ground. I mean, everybody was getting it done in Green Bay's backfield. So were the receivers. Allen Lazard had a great game, 99 receiving yards and a touchdown. Him and Aaron Rodgers were really clicking throughout the game. That Rams secondary couldn't stop the Packers. They couldn't keep up with them. They kind of looked like the Chiefs offense. And honestly, the Packers are giving the Chiefs a run for the money to be one of the best offenses in the league. And of course, we're going to see what they're going to do against Tampa Bay's defense. They have a stingy defense. Tampa Bay has a good offense. We'll see how the Packers deal with them on defense. But I'm very excited for this game going forward. But I want to talk about the Rams a little bit more. I want to talk about Jared Goff and Sean McVay. They're having a little bit of relationship issues right now. This past weekend, Sean McVay gave a few vague answers in regards of Jared Goff. Reporters were asking if, is this your guy going forward? Is this your franchise QB? I don't think Jared Goff is a franchise QB, and I don't think Sean McVay agrees with that sentiment. Um, Jared Goff, at best, he's consistent. He's just as good as he is inconsistent. He regressed a little bit this year. He threw 13 interceptions. Of course, he had that thumb injury. And Sean McVay looked really excited for John Wolford to start against the Seahawks. Of course, that plan didn't come to fruition because John Wolford got hurt. But I just don't see McVay moving on with Jared Goff. I don't think he's a franchise guy. And I think McVay is going to try to bring in a guy not next year, but maybe in the next couple years. And sadly, I think this Rams team is going to fall apart. They had their chance, this year, a couple years ago when they faced off against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I don't want to say it's Sean McVay, but this team just can't get it done for some reason. I'm not sure why. And of course, they just lost their defensive coordinator to the Chargers because he got hired over there as their head coach. So we'll see what the Rams do moving forward, but they really took a hard loss in this game. So, guys, I want to talk about the next game, the Ravens and the Bills game. This was another very exciting game to watch. Josh Allen did his thing. He didn't have to do much, honestly. He threw for just like Aaron Rodgers. He threw for like a casual 250. Um, I think he only had one. He had one touchdown throughout the game. Stephon Diggs ate this game. They didn't have to throw the deep ball. Just short, intermediate passing to get it done against this Ravens offense, but our defense, excuse me. But really, this game was a tale of two defenses. The Ravens did get pressure on Josh Allen, and they held him to 17 points, and that's really respectable, especially against the Bills. But the Ravens, they just couldn't handle the Bills' defense. The Bills were, I think they were blitzing 48% of the time. They're sending their edge rushers almost every single play. They're playing the cover two defense to account for the receivers and, of course, to account for Lamar Jackson in his running. And Lamar just couldn't get it done. He made a lot of mistakes, and it's not to his own fault. I wouldn't put all the blame on Lamar. Lamar just doesn't have a lot around him, and these guys were making mistakes. You get it in the offensive line, they were getting a lot of penalties, snapping the ball over Lamar's head. They just couldn't really keep him protected in the pocket, and Lamar couldn't do his thing outside of the pocket either because the Bills they accounted for him. And Lamar needs a number one guy. Don't get me wrong, Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown is a good wide receiver. He's pretty short, but he's super quick, super effective in the slot. And it's hard for guys to keep up with him. And then you have Willie Snead, another solid wide receiver. But if I were the Ravens, you have to go after a number one guy in free agency like Allen Robinson or Kenny Galladay. Hell, even division rival Juju Smith-Schuster. It doesn't look like Juju really wants to stay in Pittsburgh. That's what I've heard. I could be totally wrong, but you never know. But the Ravens got to get a guy for Lamar. But again, this Bills defense, they kept Lamar guessing the entire game. Teron Johnson, the cornerback, I think if I remember correctly, if you guys have ever watched that video of the defensive back going through the gauntlet in the NFL Combine and he gets the ball right to the head, he was looking the other way. That's Teron Johnson, and he got a 106, 107-yard pick six, and it really set the edge for the Bills this entire game. It put the game on ice, it put it out of reach, and the Ravens couldn't recover from it. It really killed that offense's mojo. It killed their offense or their confidence, and they just couldn't get it going. The Bills, I was wrong about their defense. They do have a good defense, and they're playing the best football at the most important time, and that's in the playoffs. And I'm really excited to see what they can do against the Chiefs next weekend. So, guys, I also want to talk about the Chiefs. They faced off against the Browns, of course, on Sunday. They won the game 23-17, close game. But the Browns, unfortunately, they just couldn't get it done. I was really rooting for the Browns. Don't get me wrong, I love Mahomes. Mahomes is an awesome quarterback, and I'm rooting for Mahomes too. I mean, I'd love to see him get another Super Bowl ring, but I was rooting for the Browns. They finally turned a corner. They haven't made the playoffs in 17, 18 years, and they got a win against the Steelers last week, that huge win. And it looked like they could have done so this game, but there was a lot of mistakes, just like the Ravens committed. Um, Nick Chubb was a guy I wanted to talk about. He had those three drops from Baker. They're running screenplays, check down passes, trying to get the ball to him, just like they did against Pittsburgh, and he just couldn't get it going. He dropped three balls. I mean, that's you can't have that, especially in a divisional playoff game. It really killed their confidence on offense, and it didn't make Baker look bad, but um, it just didn't help him out. You're just giving more fuel to the fire of the Baker's overrated debate. You know what I mean? Um, but Baker, on the other hand, he had a good game despite what the stats show. He's made such a big come around. He's made so much progression, and I mean, if the Browns don't see him as the guy moving forward, then they're stupid. The Browns have a lot to build off, though. John Dorsey's created a good team. You have Miles Garrett and Denzel Ward on defense to build around. You also have Greedy Williams, a young quarterback, Byron Murphy Jr., another young quarterback that you cornerback that you can build around. You have that great elite of offensive line. You have a good receiver in Jarvis Landry. If I were the Browns, I would move on from OBJ because him and Baker just don't click. And you could get good value from OBJ, no doubt. You have those two young studs in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield, that double-headed monster in the rushing game that teams can't stop. But the Chiefs, they stopped them in this game. They only held them to, I think, 113 rushing yards, and they held them to 18 rushing yards in the first half. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to 18 yards. That's insane. And another thing I want to talk about in this game is the Sorensen call where Rashad Higgins, he caught the ball right before the end of the first half. It looked like he was going to score a touchdown, and then he got speared by Sorensen and the linebacker or the safety on the Chiefs. Higgins fumbled the ball, and the ball rolled around into the end zone for a touchback for the Chiefs, and it really killed the Browns' momentum going forward. Didn't seem like they could recover from that going forward into the rest of the game. That's just it's just such a stupid call by the refs. It should have been reviewed because Sorensen led with his head, and that was an illegal, head-to-head contact play. Um, and that rule should be abolished altogether. The touchback rule. Um, I mean, there's not much you can do, and it should have been reviewed, and it wasn't. It's just such a botch call, and I mean, the NFL's got to get better refs. We always see botch calls in the postseason. If you talk about the NFC Championship between the Rams and the Saints a couple years ago, that got a lot of people fired up, and I'm seeing the same thing here. I'm just as mad as a lot of Browns fans. That was stupid. And the Chiefs got lucky there. The Browns really could have kept this game a lot closer if they got that touchdown. They could have won it, in fact. But it was really hard for the Browns receivers to get any separation. You know, you had guys like Tyrann Mathieu creating turnovers. L'Jarius Sneed was getting to Baker Mayfield in the backfield for sacks. I heard his name almost every other play. You know, the sixth round pick. In this year's NFL draft. Nobody had a lot of expectations for him, but he's having a big year. He had 3 interceptions on the year. He's doing his thing, and he might be the Chiefs' number one cornerback going forward. But on the other hand, the Browns they couldn't keep up with the Chiefs' speed. They couldn't keep up with their receivers. Tyreek was open every single play, and they didn't double team him. They didn't double team Kelsey either because Kelsey was getting it done. He had that touchdown. And of course, Mahomes looked magnificent until he went out with that concussion. Unfortunately, he also had a bum toe that he was playing on, but that didn't really seem to affect him. He was 11 for 12, I think, before he left the game. And all signs are pointing towards Mahomes playing this weekend in the AFC Championship. I don't think it was a concussion. I think it was a neck injury to one of his nerves, but it looks like he's doing a lot better now. You know, he's walking around, he's throwing the ball, he's running. He seems to be doing okay. I'm not convinced that he's 100%, but of course we'll see going forward Sunday. Um, Again, though, the Chiefs beat the Browns 23-17. But the Browns have a lot to look forward to. They changed their culture this year. They have Kevin Stefanski, a fantastic head coach. The Browns have a lot to look forward to, and Browns fans, keep your heads up. You lost this playoff game, but you also won your first playoff game in 17 years. And lastly, I want to get into the Bucks and the Saints game. We had the battle between the two geriatrics, of course, and Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Two goats in their own rights, of course. Tom Brady had a good game. I was impressed with some of his passing. You know, he wasn't spectacular, but you don't have to be. You have to. I mean, at 43 years old, all you have to do is get the job done, and that's what he did. And he's going to his first NFC Championship ever. And it seems like his 20th conference championship. I mean, he's Tom Brady's got it done, year in and year out, and he's proving haters wrong on the Bucks. They have that really efficient offense, with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown. Leonard Fournette had a great game. Gronk, I didn't hear Gronk so much, but Gronk's another guy you have to count for. The Saints defense, they gave up 30 points. It was a 30-20 victory for the Bucks, and on the other side of the ball, the Saints, they couldn't get it done. Drew Brees, I really do think is a liability, and unfortunately, I think we just watched his last game. You saw him walking out of the Superdome, and took one last look back, and it was heartbreaking. Honestly, I love Drew Brees. I actually just had a debate with one of my friends this weekend, seeing who is the GOAT. Debating who's the GOAT. Me and my other friends thought Tom Brady was. He thinks Drew Brees is the GOAT, and if that's your opinion, I respect that. Uh, but I don't think you're the GOAT if you can't get it done in this game. I mean, Drew Brees he can never get over that hump. He only has one Super Bowl. And unfortunately, he had multiple turnovers in this game. One of those being to Devin White, who had a phenomenal game, a guy who I think really did get snubbed from the Pro Bowl. He had that fumble recovery, he had that pick that he almost turned into a pick six. Um, Dude was eating left and right. He had multiple tackles this game, and during the regular season, the dude had 9.5 sacks. He had over 100 tackles. He really did get snubbed, and it really does. It bothers me that he didn't get picked for the Pro Bowl. The Bucks have a good defense. They have a great linebacking core, and they can get it done against the Packers going into this weekend. But again, that's to be determined. And Drew Brees, I'm sorry that I had to watch your last game. It's been a pleasure watching you. And if it is your last game, good luck in retirement, man. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Just a quick video for you guys recapping the divisional round. I'm going to have the Harden video out tonight, finally. I'm going to have Holzer and Sam hop on the channel to talk about that. And then later in the week, I'm going to give my predictions for the conference championship round. And of course, we have the Super Bowl coming up, so a lot to look forward to, guys. But again, thank you for watching the video, guys. Don't forget to leave a comment, drop a like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.